Good evening. Tonight I have an unusual story for you. A story of intrigue, murder, and white orchids. Beautiful and innocent looking, isn't it? Yet what I have to tell you concerns the high price paid for this rare flower. That price was death. The story began one morning when we had a visitor during breakfast. Oh, good morning, Commissioner. Go on in.
Good morning, Ellery. Where's your...
He's tossing me some more flapjacks.
They're tossed. Oh, good morning, Henry, old dear.
Good morning.
And how's everything over the dear old Department of Public Health?
In a turmoil.
That's so. Well, pull up a chair. Oh, flapjacks?
No, thanks. I've eaten your flapjacks before. See the morning paper?
Encephalitis kills 3 in New York area.
I don't get it. Isn't sleeping sickness caused by the bite of the tsetse fly?
Right.
But tsetses are tropical flies. They couldn't live in this hemisphere.
Right again. Yet 3 men are dead from their bites right here in New York.
Now, have you checked with a specialist, Henry?
We called in a researchist in tropical fevers, the tops in his field. Here's his report.
Cause of death, encephalitis lethargica. Commonly called sleeping sickness, induced by the bite of Glossina palpus, a variety of tsetse fly.
The deadliest.
Well, is there any danger of an epidemic?
Luckily, no. The fever isn't contagious. Results only from the bite of the fly.
The paper mentions the names of the 3 men. Was there any connection between them?
We didn't have a chance to question them. All we know is that one was an engineer, another an importer, and the third was just a drifter.
Did you get any information from their relatives or friends?
Nothing that would help us. Dick, we're stumped. You've got to lend us a hand.
I'm sorry. That's your department. I don't see where this has anything to do with homicide.
It seems to me there's more than just coincidence behind these 3 deaths. And if any man can get to the bottom of it, it's you.
Molasses.
What?
Oh, I was just offering Ellery the syrup. He goes for it in a big way. Sorry, gentlemen, I must be going. I'm sure I'll find a legitimate crime waiting for me down at headquarters. Goodbye, Henry.
Stubborn old ox.
He thinks you're crying wolf again.
What do you mean?
Well, don't you remember that case some years ago? Yes, it was quite a while ago, when 7 people folded up from what you thought was arsenic poisoning.
Okay, I was wrong. It was salmon poison. But this is different, Ellery. I'm convinced of it.
Well, as you say, it is fresh and intriguing.
Then you see it my way?
Well, as my father said, I do have imagination. Oh, excuse me. Hello? Yes, just a minute. It's for you, Commissioner.
Oh, I told them at the office I'd be stopping here. Thanks. Hello? Yes? When did it happen? Well, I'll get over there right away. Stanley Receiving Hospital. Okay. Ellery, come over to the hospital with me.
What's wrong?
A man was just brought in after collapsing on a bus. Encephalitis. That's the 4th case. Shall I get Dr. Fielding?
I'm afraid it's too late. I've never seen a fever work so rapidly.
Well, here we are again. Another blank wall.
He must have some relatives we can contact. Nurse, Receiving told us his effects were sent up here. May we see them?
Oh, yes, of course.
You said a woman brought him in. Did she say who she was?
No, she didn't give a name. She came in a taxi and then went away. I may be wrong, but she seemed to know what he was suffering from. Here's his wallet.
Thanks. This is a pilot's license. Edward Benson, care of Premier Airlines, Locust Valley Airport, Locust Valley, Long Island.
Pilot's license. Huh, that's a big help. He certainly couldn't have been bitten by the tsetse fly in the air.
Probably not. All the same, I'd like to look into this further. I think I'll take a run out to the airport.
Somebody in particular?
Yes, I'd like to see the manager.
Not in.
Well, thank you for being so helpful. Now, would you do me one more favor and tell me when...
He wants to see you. Nothing else happened.
All right, Jarvis. I'm in charge of the office.
Do you know a pilot by the name of Benson? Edward Benson?
I'm Mrs. Benson. Oh, excuse me. Hello? Stanley Hospital? Oh, I'm sure you have the wrong number. Yes, I'm Mrs. Why'd you do that?
I think I can tell you what that telephone call's about.
What do you mean? Has something happened to Eddie?
I'm afraid so.
Is that an accident? He's dead?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Benson. He contracted a tropical fever. It was very sudden.
Tropical fever?
Yes, encephalitis.
Oh, no. Where could he have possibly have gotten?
That's what I'd like to know, Mrs. Benson. That's why I'm here. You see, the tsetse fly, which causes this sickness, only exists in hot climates, tropical countries.
South America?
Was he in South America?
He just got back yesterday. He flew that plane in with a cargo of coffee. Why didn't he listen to me? Why didn't he take my advice?
You didn't approve of his flying.
Flying was his life, Mr. Queen. I couldn't have stopped him from that much as I'd wanted to. But we were doing all right with a small local air route up to New England. Eddie wanted to run a cargo line to South America. I begged him not to.
What country was he flying in from?
Uruguay.
That's in the tropical zone. Mrs. Benson, 3 other men have died of this tropical fever in the past 12 hours. Do these names mean anything to you? Antonio Crespi, John Underwood.
And Adolf Mueller? They were passengers on Eddie's plane. He picked them up in Montevideo.
They all must have been bitten before they left South America. Looks like the inspector was right, Commissioner. It wasn't a case for a homicide.
Oh?
Eddie Benson flew a plane in yesterday from Uruguay. Crespi, Underwood, and Mueller were passengers. All of them must have contracted the fever before leaving the tropics. I think that clears things up.
I don't. Dr. Gilbert, did Miss Benson take a trip recently?
Well, hardly. I've been seeing her myself every day.
What's this all about?
Oh, Dr. Gilby, Ellery Queen.
Real pleasure, Mr. Queen. Read quite a few of your books. You might even call me one of your fans.
Thanks.
Dr. Gilby came in to report fever case number 5, one of his patients, Teresa Vincent.
A 5th case?
An arrested case, Mr. Queen. The most incredible thing I've run into in my 30 years of practice.
What do you mean by an arrested case?
Well, this young girl, Miss Vincent, called on me 3 weeks ago with a bad case of flu. There's been a lot of it going around of late. And so I shot her full of antibiotics and kept her dosed up from day to day. So when the fever hit, she had only a mild attack. She'd built up an immunity.
Doctor, I assume you know that encephalitis is caused only by the bite of the tsetse fly.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
And you think your patient was bitten by this fly?
Well, I don't see how. She hadn't been out of the city. And the tsetse fly couldn't breed in this climate.
You're sure your diagnosis is correct?
Well, I hope I'm sure. I've been practicing medicine for 30 years.
All the same, I think we ought to double check. Have her examined by our specialist in tropical fevers.
Well, by all means, if you doubt my word, go ahead.
Nevertheless, I'd like to see Miss Vincent.
That's a good idea, Ellery.
I'd like to take a run out there right now, Commissioner, if you don't mind, with the doctor.
I'd welcome it. This might be our one chance of learning something definite.
Thank you. I suppose I should have telephoned, but I was sure she'd be at home. Told her to stay in for a day or two.
The door's unlocked.
Are you sure we ought to go in?
In a case like this, I've never been able to resist an unlocked door.
Miss Vincent? Miss Vincent? Probably went to the hairdresser's. Women are like that nowadays. I told her not to leave the house, but beauty comes before everything else, even health. Perhaps we'd better go.
Wait.
Miss Vincent! She's dead.
Looks like your diagnosis was only partially correct. The fever wasn't arrested.
She didn't die from the fever, Mr. Queen. She was strangled.
Yes. Okay. I'll be right over.
Right. How long had Miss Vincent been a patient of yours?
Well, first time I saw her was 3 weeks ago when she came to me with the flu. Picked on me, I suppose, because my office was just around the corner.
Did she tell you anything about herself?
Oh, the usual things. Came from a small town in Kansas. Wanted to be an actress, but couldn't make the grade.
What sort of work did she do?
I believe she worked as a waitress, but she was unemployed. Oh, distinctly remember her telling me she had to find a job.
Did she mention having any girlfriends, boyfriends, an ex-husband?
No, I don't think so. If she did, I probably wasn't listening. I had no idea she was in any kind of trouble.